Welcome to today's deep dive, where we're going to unpack something I think, well, pretty much everyone has experienced at some point.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
Right. Like, have you ever been in a meeting, you understand the topic completely, and you have this brilliant point to share, but you just stay completely silent?
You're just totally frozen.
Exactly. You stay quiet simply because you are terrified of using the wrong words.
Yeah.
And that silent frustration is exactly what we're exploring in our source material today.
It's such a relatable scenario for anyone working internationally.
It really is.
Hmm.
Our mission today is to look at a 32-year-old project manager named Emma. She works at an international tech company, manages complex projects, and, she uses digital tools to communicate globally every single day.
And she's doing all of this in English, which isn't her first language.
Right. And the irony here is that her English grammar is actually quite good. I mean, she understands the mechanical rules perfectly fine.
But putting it into practice in real time is a whole different ballgame.
Exactly. The moment her colleagues start debating nuanced topics, things like the influence of social media or the future of tech, she just completely freezes up. She feels her vocabulary is too limited to really express her true thoughts.
It is this uniquely frustrating cognitive bottleneck. You are sitting there, the conversation is moving at the speed of native fluency, and you simply cannot find the entry point.
Yeah, I'd compare it to having this high-performance engine, but the wrong tires for the terrain. She has the intelligence and the ideas. She just lacks the specific traction to move the conversation forward.
That is a great analogy. The gap between understanding a concept like, say, cybersecurity and having the precise linguistic tools to debate it on the fly, it requires a massive amount of mental processing.
Because it's not just about knowing a list of words, right?
Right. It's about cognitive navigation under pressure. It's tough.
And we are going to look at exactly how she conquers this very modern challenge. Because clearly, mastering grammar just isn't enough to survive in a corporate discussion today.
Not at all. You need a completely different strategy.
So let's look at the specific inciting incident from the sources. Emma is sitting in this international team meeting, and the topic on the table is broad but super relevant. They're discussing how modern life has changed the way we work and communicate.
A very standard corporate discussion topic.
Very standard. And the room is just going for it. Her colleagues are throwing out opinions on remote work. They're diving into social media, explaining how artificial intelligence is transforming their industry.
They are entirely in their element.
Meanwhile, Emma has plenty of ideas, but she hesitates. The text notes she is so afraid of choosing the wrong words that she just quietly listens.
Which is heartbreaking, really. But if we look at the psychology of her silence here, the true barrier isn't a lack of dictionary definitions.
No. Then what is it?
It is the paralyzing fear of imperfection. She is essentially editing herself before she even opens her mouth.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I do that all the time.
Most people do. In a high-stakes environment like a corporate boardroom, the brain often prioritizes risk avoidance over expression.
So if she is sitting in that boardroom, her brain is essentially treating a potential grammatical error the same way it would treat like a physical threat.
Precisely. It hits the brakes to protect her social status in the group.
That is wild.
It's basic biology. The amygdala perceives the potential for public embarrassment as a threat, and that triggers a minor stress response.
And stress makes everything harder.
Exactly. When you are stressed, your working memory, which is exactly what you need to translate thoughts into a second language, gets severely compromised.
So her brain is literally working against her.
Yes. But Emma realizes after this meeting that simply taking another general English course isn't going to fix this biological response. She specifically needs to learn how to process and discuss modern topics with confidence.
Which brings us to her strategy. And I have to admit, looking at her initial approach here, I am incredibly puzzled.
Oh, why is that?
Well, she doesn't go online and buy a massive technical glossary. She goes to a bookstore for inspiration. And she picks up two specific books.
Hans Rosling's Factfulness and Nicholas Carr's The Shallows.
Right. Wait, if she is trying to learn English vocabulary to survive tech meetings, why is she reading a book about global statistics and another one about the psychological effects of screen time?
I know, it sounds like pure procrastination, doesn't it?
Yeah, totally. Like
Yeah.
she's avoiding the actual studying.
It absolutely seems counterintuitive if you view language learning purely as data entry. But if we look at the mechanics of how the brain acquires language, it is actually a masterstroke.
Okay, color me intrigued. How does reading about screen time help her speak English?
Well, let's look at Nicholas Carr's The Shallows first. That book explores how constant technology use and screen time affect our attention, our neuroplasticity, and our ability to engage in deep thinking.
Right, the whole shrinking attention span thing.
Exactly. Through reading this, Emma notices that checking her phone every few minutes is making it incredibly difficult for her to concentrate. So she sets healthier boundaries with her technology.
Okay, so she is recognizing that her attention span is fractured. But again, how does fixing her phone habits actually help her speak English better in a boardroom?
It comes back to that working memory we just talked about. Second language processing requires a massive amount of cognitive RAM.
Oh, like a computer.
Yes, exactly like a computer. You have to hold the incoming argument in your mind, translate it, formulate your own response, apply the grammatical rules, and then articulate it aloud.
That is a lot of tabs open at once.
Too many tabs. If your attention span is constantly fractured by dopamine-seeking phone habits, your brain essentially dumps that temporary memory buffer every few minutes.
Wow, okay. That makes so much sense.
You cannot engage in a nuanced conversation about complex issues if your cognitive machinery is constantly rebooting. By protecting her attention span, she is repairing the hardware she needs to actually listen and build arguments.
I see. She is optimizing her brain's processing power before she tries to install the new software. She's clearing the RAM.
Exactly. But that just gives her the energy to focus. It doesn't give her the actual vocabulary.
Right, which brings us to the other book, Factfulness. This one encourages readers to think critically about the world rather than just absorbing assumptions and, negative headlines.
Yes, and from this, Emma learns that informed conversations require curiosity and open-mindedness. It shifts her entire cognitive framing.
How so?
Instead of walking into a meeting feeling defensive or terrified of being wrong, she is walking in with a baseline of curiosity.
Oh, I like that. It lowers the stakes.
It does. You cannot confidently debate a topic if your underlying worldview is based on untested assumptions. She is building an intellectual foundation so that when she does learn the vocabulary, she actually has something meaningful to say.
Okay, so she has stopped the mental drain by fixing her attention span, and she has shifted her mindset to curiosity. Now let's get into the actual software installation.
The vocabulary acquisition phase.
Right, because her strategy here completely bypasses traditional memorization. It's this very deliberate two-pronged approach.
What's her first step?
First, she starts listening to the Easy English podcast on her morning commute. But she isn't just passively consuming it. She's actively listening for how ideas are organized.
She's hunting for structure.
Exactly. She specifically focuses on polite phrasing and complete expressions. Things like, from my point of view, or one major advantage is...
On the other hand, technology has made our lives more convenient, but...
Yes. Finding a healthy balance is essential. She is lifting these entire blocks of text and making them part of her everyday English.
The underlying linguistic strategy here is known as conversational scaffolding.
Scaffolding, like building a house.
Exactly. Learning whole phrases rather than isolated words is arguably the most efficient way to hack your cognitive load.
It reminds me of playing a complex video game using macros, those pre-programmed button combinations.
Oh, that's a great comparison. Tell me more.
Well, if you have to manually mash 10 different buttons in a specific order to execute a move while someone is attacking you in the game, you're going to mess it up.
Your brain panics.
Right. But if you bind all those actions to one single macro button, you just hit it once and the game does the rest. You're saving your mental energy for the actual strategy of the game.
That is an incredibly accurate way to look at it. When you are in that high-pressure meeting, your cognitive load is maxed out.
The amygdala is firing.
Right. If you have to build every single sentence from scratch, searching for the subject, matching the verb tense, finding the right preposition, you will freeze.
It's too many buttons to press.
But if you have this scaffolding preloaded, your brain doesn't have to work to construct the beginning of the argument. If you already deeply know the macro phrase, one major advantage is you just deploy it automatically.
It allows Emma to focus her mental energy entirely on the idea she wants to express, rather than panicking about the grammar in real time.
It completely lowers the barrier to entry for speaking up.
So she has her macros ready. Then she moves to the second prong of her strategy. She uses a resource called English Vocabulary in Use to master the heavy-hitting concepts of the modern corporate world.
Words like innovation, sustainability, digital communication.
Cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, misinformation, the big ones.
But the crucial step here is how she processes these concepts. The source notes that she stops memorizing dictionary definitions entirely.
Yes, this is the part that really stood out to me. Instead of using flashcards with definitions, for every single new word she learns, she writes an original sentence using that word.
She ties it directly to her own life.
Right, so instead of just memorizing the definition of cybersecurity, she writes a sentence about the actual new cybersecurity protocol her specific team is implementing at work.
And this is where we transition from passive learning to active encoding.
Which means what, exactly, for her brain?
Well, when you just read a definition, you are using semantic memory, just storing a raw fact. The brain is very good at filtering those out and forgetting them because they lack context.
You're just useless trivia.
Exactly. But when you write an original sentence, tying that vocabulary word to your own life, your boss, your specific project, you are utilizing episodic memory. You are creating a self-referential neural pathway.
So you're basically tricking your brain into thinking this new word is a vital piece of your personal identity, so it better hold on to it.
Exactly. You are bypassing the brain's short-term filtering mechanism by tagging the information with personal relevance. It moves the word from a static list on a page into your working memory, ready for retrieval.
Man, that is so smart. So her cognitive RAM is clear, her macros are programmed, and she has hard-coded the vocabulary into her episodic memory.
She is fully prepared.
But, I mean, all the original sentences in the world are completely useless if you never actually open your mouth. Theory eventually has to meet practice.
Which is often the most painful step for language learners. You have to step into the crucible.
Yeah, you have to actually do the thing. So we follow Emma as she takes these new tools out into the wild. She joins an online English discussion group.
A safe space to practice.
Exactly. Every week, the members meet up on a video call to debate current topics: artificial intelligence, climate change, online education, the future of work. She essentially finds a sandbox environment for everything she has been studying.
That is brilliant.
At first, the source notes she speaks only briefly, but soon she has this major revelation. She realizes that everyone in the group is learning, and absolutely nobody expects perfect English.
The ultimate goal is simply the respectful exchange of ideas.
Right. And what happens to her brain when she realizes that?
What we are seeing here is the power of psychological safety. Remember how we discussed the amygdala treating the corporate boardroom like a threat, spiking her cortisol and suppressing her language recall?
Right, the whole freeze response?
Well, this discussion group does the exact opposite. Because it is a low-stakes environment where mistakes are normalized, her brain does not perceive a social threat.
So the alarm bells stop ringing.
Her cortisol levels drop. This allows her prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for complex cognitive behavior and decision-making, to finally take over.
So in this psychologically safe environment, her existing vocabulary finally has the physiological permission to surface.
Exactly. It wasn't just about learning the words. It was about hacking her biological stress response so she could actually access the words she already knew.
She learns that communication is a collaborative effort, not a solo performance on a stage where everyone is just waiting for you to fail.
It shifts her entire paradigm. In the boardroom, speaking felt like a test she could fail. In the discussion group, it is a bridge they are building together.
And because the threat level is low, every time she shares an opinion, her brain receives a positive feedback loop.
She realizes that the world does not end if she uses the wrong preposition.
Which proves that confidence isn't something you acquire before you speak. It is the direct result of surviving the messy, imperfect process of trying to be understood.
You have to wade through the awkwardness to get to the fluency.
And that biological and psychological conditioning, well, it prepares her for the ultimate test of all this preparation.
Yes, the payoff.
Several months have passed, and we return to the setting where this whole journey began. Emma is in another international meeting at work, and the topic is, once again, the complexities of modern life.
The same high-stakes boardroom.
The very same.
Yeah.
Her colleagues are debating. But this time, she doesn't stay silent. She confidently shares her opinion. And if you listen to what she actually says, it is remarkably nuanced.
What does she say?
She says, technology has improved communication across the world, but it has also created new challenges.
Boom. There's the macro. The conversational scaffolding. She is effortlessly presenting a balanced view without having to hunt for the grammatical structure.
Yes. Then she applies her active vocabulary. She says, for example, remote work offers flexibility, but maintaining a healthy work-life balance requires discipline.
Beautifully constructed.
And finally, she drops this insight. She says, I believe artificial intelligence should support human creativity rather than replace it.
What is remarkable about this transformation is that she isn't just regurgitating buzzwords. She is using concepts like remote work, flexibility, and artificial intelligence to express causality.
Right, she's actually debating.
She is acknowledging complex trade-offs. She is manipulating the language to serve her specific intellect.
And the corporate environment responds. Her colleagues actually listen carefully. Several of them ask thoughtful questions based on her points, and the discussion becomes deeply productive.
That is the best possible outcome.
It gets better. After the meeting, a coworker approaches her and specifically says, "I really enjoyed hearing your perspective."
Oh, that external validation cements the new neural pathways. The source highlights a profound realization Emma has in that moment.
Which is?
Confidence doesn't come from knowing every single technical term.
Hmm.
It comes from expressing ideas clearly, listening carefully, and being willing to participate in the exchange.
It is the ultimate reality check for corporate communication. I mean, the workplace is going to endlessly evolve. AI is changing things today. Something else will change things tomorrow.
You simply cannot memorize a static vocabulary list and expect to be prepared for the rest of your career.
Corporate survival requires adaptability, not just rote memorization.
Exactly. The source leaves us with a very powerful framework. In a fast-paced modern world, you do not need to be a walking dictionary. You need to know how to deploy your ideas with curiosity and resilience.
You have to view every conversation as an iterative process.
Precisely.
So let's distill this down for you, the listener, because there's a very clear blueprint here. If you want to elevate your own communication, whether it is in the second language or your native one,
Let's hear it.
first, you have to protect your cognitive RAM. You cannot process complex arguments if your attention span is fractured by constant distractions. Put the phone down.
Crucial first step.
Second, utilize conversational scaffolding. Preload phrases and transition mechanics so your brain isn't wasting energy constructing basic grammar under pressure.
Get those macros ready.
Third, encode new information by tying it to your own personal experience. Bypass the short-term memory filter by making the data matter to you. Write your own sentences.
Activate that episodic memory.
And finally, seek out environments with high psychological safety to practice in, because you have to lower your biological threat response to actually access your knowledge.
It is a brilliant, highly functional blueprint. And looking at all of this, it actually raises a rather provocative question for you to mull over as you navigate your own work environments.
Oh, what's that?
We saw Emma deliver that fantastic insight during her meeting. The idea that artificial intelligence should support human creativity rather than replace it.
A deeply relevant point for the modern workplace, for sure.
But think about the underlying mechanism of Emma's entire journey to arrive at that insight and actually deliver it. Her confidence, her resilience, her ability to hold the room. None of that came from a textbook.
No, it came from practice.
It was built entirely on the vulnerable, often frustrating, deeply human process of stumbling through those initial conversations in her discussion group. It was the struggle to be understood that forced her brain to adapt and grow stronger.
The resistance is what built the muscle.
Exactly. So if we project this forward, if future AI ever reaches the point where it can flawlessly and instantly translate our thoughts in virtual meetings.
Meaning we never have to struggle for the right word.
Right. We never face that cognitive bottleneck. We never have to risk sounding foolish in a second language. Will we lose that essential human grit that Emma developed?
Oh, wow.
If technology removes the friction of communication, does our true confidence still grow? Or does our confidence actually stem from the shared, vulnerable struggle of simply trying to reach across the table and be understood by another human being?
That is a fascinating paradox to leave on. If we eliminate the struggle of communication, do we eliminate the growth that comes with it?
Something to think about.
Because at the end of the day, you can clear your cognitive RAM, you can program all your conversational macros, and you can hack your biological stress response. But the entire system only matters because of the human connection you were trying to make on the other side.
Keep testing those boundaries.
Stay curious and embrace the friction of the conversation.